Do you consider the fact that neither of these candidates ever discusses the deficit or debt? No, that is an issue. The question is, who is giving away more? It's a fantastic giveaway on yes, indeed. No compensation. I take it she's increasing taxes? She was very direct. You know, minus 28% corporate income tax is still less expensive than, say, a tariff plus 20%. Personally, wouldn't you prefer to remain at 21? As far as my business, the contract, and everyone else are concerned, it has no bearing whatsoever on me. No, you need to examine both the revenue and the deficit. We should not pursue it there. That isn't where, in my opinion. Then where would you look for it? I would go ahead and tax the billions he borrows. Yeah, but you know what? During when? And I don't do that, right? You know, the people that you're saying when interest rates were near zero, net effective rate, right? Everybody did that because if you can't make more than 1% on your return, it was easy to. Right now, with interest rates of 4% or 5%, it makes no sense. So you can do that, and she's not opposed to it, but it's not going to generate as much money. I think there's a lot more income available from taxes on stock buybacks. Because taxes on stock buybacks, think about where the cash structure is in a company. If you have something to invest in, R&D, whatever, you do it right. If you have a company to buy or, people to hire, whatever, you do it. If you can't find a better way to invest your capital, you buy back shares. So it's really saying, okay, let's tax the buybacks, and that will create a ton of revenue to reduce the deficit. It'll either create a ton of revenue, or it will change business behavior. Lear was on yesterday saying that, look, we saw the good stock buybacks. Then with prices at high levels, you saw a lot of bad ones too. He pointed out how much they're always bought back at high levels. But if it does that, if it changes corporate behavior, you're not going to have the revenue you would have assumed from it, and that's fine too. That means they're investing it, or they're paying dividends, right? So think about that. If it pushes them towards dividends, and I also suggested to them, and I don't know if they'll do it, is rather than, for a family of 4, I think if you have income under $89,000, then your dividends are tax-free, right? So you bump up that amount to $250,000 or $400,000 because if a higher tax rate on stock buybacks pushes to dividends, then it's actually tax-free money that goes into the economy. Remember when Microsoft did that special dividend of billions of dollars 20 years ago? That actually impacted GDP. So having big companies put money back in the dividends, and now investors truly buying because they get a return instead of just hoping the market goes up, that's not a bad thing either. How do you feel about industrial policy? One of the things she did talk about was investing in a number of different industries in a big way. In a big way over the next 10 years? Yeah, can't. There are some people who say we shouldn't have industrial policy like this, and we tried this before. It's been a mistake. And other people who say, different world. Our military dominance, our place in the world depends on our ability to invest in AI. Period. End of story. Whoever wins AI has the best military. There's no question about it. And private corporations, while they certainly invest a lot, the Department of Defense definitely invests a lot. We need to do more. We cannot lose that battle, or we lose everything. That defines our money. It defines how we compete in the world. It defines our military. So investing in that is critical. There's a piece out, just recently about that there has not been a manufacturing boom, that there was post-pandemic for a year, but it's been bad. It's been bad for the past 3 years. The ISM of the index has been contracting since 2022, right when the IRA was passed. So there's been no. Okay, look, but are you sure that this is my fear, Sindra. That's my fear. Yes, picking winners and losers. Yeah, exactly. Intel. We decide now Intel can't get out, but now TSM. No, a TSMC is making 5 millimeter, 3 nano, whatever it is chips already, and that's needed. That's crucial, right? That's crucial for U.S. security. But to your argument, right, what is it? 75% of manufacturers have under 20 people, right? There's roughly 4,000 corporations that have more than 5 manufacturing companies. Donald Trump is attempting to come in with a hammer and say, you're the nail. I'm going to strike you with a 200% tariff. John Deere? KLA Harris is saying, I'm going to offer you incentives to manufacture more. Which do you think is going to work better with companies? Do you want to be underneath the hammer? Because when you put a 200% tariff on John Deere and only a 10% or 20% tariff on their Chinese competitors, their Chinese competitors are now less expensive than John Deere. And it's not so easy. We saw what happened with Carrier, right? When in 2016 they said, if you move down, we're going to tax you more. 35% tariff back then. And what did Carrier do? I take it they simply manipulated the system. They simply let go of various workers. Is price gouging responsible for any of the 40-year highs in inflation? And do you care that that's the whole idea behind? No, Joe, you're misrepresenting her words. Now I'm watching her advertisements. All right, let's. Have you seen the ads? Of course, yes. I'm going to end. I'm going to. During crisis, what do you think caused the 40-year? Do you think supermarket gouging had anything to do with? No. You believe it was. The excessive stimulus was being added to a supply constraint. Yes. B. Then it seems to me that they are not telling the truth about this and are attempting to shift the blame to corporations due to their track record. It remains significant. There's going to be another hurricane. There's going to be another tornado. There's going to be another natural disaster. And there's 37 states that have lost. Market comes in and it doesn't. Eventually, it doesn't, but eventually. Meanwhile, 37 states have the same type of law. What happened, by the way? How do you feel about the credit cards? You mean socialist Donald Trump wants the credit card controls. But there's only one candidate who has brought up price controls, and that's Donald Trump. Even when we talk about what the tariffs are going to do, in one case, we know exactly what his tariffs did the first time. 1.9% inflation. We know exactly that's where it was. That's where it was through. In addition, Mark, I continue to believe that immigration, including illegal immigration, is a major hindrance to many of the jobs we have created. Nothing has happened. No net gain among natural born. I'm not saying I don't want immigration. We all love immigration. It's made this. We're all immigrants. We're all descended from immigrants. But I don't think you can have an open southern border. No, I agree. And she agrees too. She said the exact same thing. She had yeah, but Joe, there's a lot of CEOs that, where the CEO leaves for whatever reason, come in, take over, and have completely different policies and approaches, right? That's just the way it works. When you're second in command, you do what your boss tells you to do. He delegates authority to you. But the border was supposed to be her. Yeah, but still the same thing. It's his policies. He told her that you go down and try to improve, try to lessen the flow, the migration of people across the border through diplomacy. And when it finally came around, and it took too long, I agree. But when they finally got there, now look at the results. It did take a while, but yet the crossing numbers are where Trump's were pre-pandemic at the same number. So it worked. So what she did actually worked, right? Tech giants and AI startups are all hungrily awaiting Nvidia's new Blackwell chip. We found out overnight the Japanese tech firm SoftBank will be the first to get their hands on them. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang said that at an AI summit in Japan. Let's turn to Deirdre Bosa for what takes us to this stage in that connection for today's Tech Check. Deirdre? Who else but Masen Kelly? Everything about this announcement was very on brand for Masayoshi Son, basically telling the world that he and SoftBank are